Hi, this is Becky Nunn with Nunn Design, and I'm on location here at Beadaholique showing how to make these Itsy bottles using the Itsy channels that we have here, a little bit of rhinestone chain and a little bit of faceted ball chain, and we have some crystal clay. I've already mixed my two-part right here. You'll also need a pair of flush cutters, and maybe like a toothpick would be helpful. So the first step we're going to do is we're going to take our crystal clay that we've already mixed. I took equal size balls of the part A and B and mixed them into some epoxy clay about, I think I'm going to need about a small pea-sized ball, and this is already mixed. And if I need more, I'll add it, but I think this is probably what I'm going to need. Maybe this is too much. But anyway, I'm going to go ahead and just roll it into a nice round ball, and this is to make that clay nice and smooth. And then I'm going to snake it out into a little bit of a rope snake like that, trying to keep it a little bit even. Now I'm ready to start laying it down into my channel. So how you do this is you just start to use your thumb to spread that clay, and I'm using my thumb to push it this way and to push it this way and to push it forward this way. And this finger back here I'm using to rotate. So it's a combination of using a couple motions at the same time, and this is something that you just kind of get the knack of. So when you first do your first one, just know that sometimes it just takes a little bit of practice, and for me now I have to use my glasses because it's much easier to see. And when you mix the clay, you have 90 to 120 minutes to work with this, and this is a very small surface. You can take your time and get this just right. Another thing that I'm making sure of is that I'm putting the clay down into the channel here as evenly as I can. Alright, so I have an overlap about right there. So if you have an overlap, you have excess, just go ahead and pull it off, and then you can blend that edge together. I also can feel that I have a little bit of excess. See how it's a little bit mounded right there? And if you do have too much, you can just go like this a little bit and you just pinch off that excess. The whole goal is to try to get the whole surface covered and to try to have it as even as possible. Now once I have it inside of my channel, you can roll it in between your fingers like this to also even it out. Alright, once you have it all in, I always like to wipe off my hands to get that excess clay off of my fingers, and then go in and remove any excess clay that might have got on those sides. When this clay hardens, it really hardens, and it will be hard, if not impossible, to remove that cement-like clay off of the edges. See how it came up over the side right there? So by using the wet wipe, we're removing that clay. Alright, once your clay is in that channel and you've done your best to clean up what you could, you're ready to start embedding your chain. So I'm going to start with this faceted bead chain first, and I'll show you. I'm going to slightly press it down inside my channel right there on the edge, right inside of that inside edge right there. Then I'm going to keep on wrapping it around, gently pressing it down into the clay. Then when I get to my starting point, I can either pull harder and I'll have a slight gap, or press and contract it. Do you see what I'm saying? So that those ball chains line up as best as they can and be consistent. I'm going to go in and then cut off my excess. And then blend those together. Now you can't see where the starting point is and the ending point is. And then I'm ready for my next layer. I'm going to go ahead and do yet another layer of this faceted bead ball chain. Starting, slightly pressing down, turning, slightly pressing, turning. Getting to my starting point again, looking for where that overlap is, trimming, pressing to make it look seamless. I think I'm going to do one more, and then I'll lay in my rhinestone chain. All right, so I have my first 3 layers in. It's already looking pretty cool. And I'm ready to put my rhinestone chain in. So this rhinestone chain typically has like a little bit of a end that might stick out. So I'm going to try to trim that off if I can. If not, see how it's sticking out right here? That's what I'm after, that little tongue little piece of metal. All right, so I'm ready to start putting on my rhinestone. Same as before, I start, and this one I'm going to want to have it tighter, so I'm not pulling my rhinestone chain, I'm constricting it together. Lots of time, 90 to 120 minutes, so take your time, and if you don't like it, you can pull it off, wipe it down, start again. Gotten to my place where my overlap is, and depending on how much my space is, I can pull it and make it more expanded or constricted. And the reason why we didn't cut our chain beforehand and have the strips all ready to go was because depending on how much clay you put in there, it could be 1 or 2 beads worth of difference, or it could be 1 whole rhinestone cup of difference. So it's nice just to go ahead and lay it in and then trim to size. All right. Now we're ready for, let's see, is this going to be our final, or are we going to have one more after this? I think this is going to be our final layer. Although, I don't know. Looks like we might be able to do a second. Nah, let's just make this our final layer. Yep. So one last round. And this is where our overlap is happening. One ball, not enough. You can go back in, trim that extra 1 ball. Press it in so that it overlaps. All right, and then I'm going to go ahead and just gently roll it in my palm like this to try to make sure that it's all of the aspects of that ball chain are embedded into that crystal clay, because if it's not, then it will easily detach. So you have to make sure that it's embedded there enough, kind of like a mosaic, to make sure that it is fully embedded in there. And then my last step is that I would go over this piece with a wet wipe and again clean off those sides to make sure that all aspects of that are cleaned off and make sure that there's not any excess clay on my top. And then we would just put the items that we would like to into our little piece here. I use feathers, you can use even the bits of the ball chain, some sand, anything like a little lock of your little firstborn baby's hair, just something special. You would put a little bit of glue inside here and then glue this on to make a fun little keepsake pendant. This is Becky Nunn with Nunn Design, and I hope you've enjoyed learning how to make these. They're really, really fun, and I just love them. The more I make, the more I want to make. Thanks for joining us.